Deuteronomy chapter 16. And verse 9. Says that you shall count 7 weeks for yourself. Begin to count the 7 weeks from the time you begin to put the sickle to the grain. Then you shall keep the feast of weeks to the Lord your God with a tribute of a freewill offering from your hand, which you shall give as the Lord your God blesses you. We know that he's talking about the first fruits to the day of Pentecost, 50 days. 7 times 7 is 49, plus the day they celebrate after that, that will be called Pentecost, the 50 days after, called the 7 times 7 weeks. Notice that every single feast in the Bible, the 7 feasts, and one of them actually is a fast, the Day of Atonement, every one of them was not an end in themselves. Didn't God just want them to party for 6 times and fast for 1 time? No, it was a prophetic message embedded into the Jewish dispensation that will prophesy of the bride of Christ. Which is more important? The Passover or Christ the Passover? The answer is very obvious. If you're not asleep, you will know the answer. If you're asleep, you give the wrong answer. Of course, Christ. The Passover, although it was glorious and great, that was instituted on the very day that they came out from Egypt. Do you know that the Passover took place at twilight, and that they sacrificed the lamb, and they paint the red along the doorposts. They were told to dress in full dress when they take out the Passover. All this is in the book of Exodus. Most of them had no idea what was about to happen, because the last plague was about to come. The Passover was a real Passover. It was the last night that they will be in Egypt. The last night. They're never going to be there. Never going to see Egypt again. Never going back again, although some of them wanted to come back. It was their last night. And then, at the signal, they all came out. Because Pharaoh said, go, go, go. He was desperate. His firstborn had died. And all the firstborn of all the Egyptians, firstborn of every animal that was not in the house, covered by the blood, all died. Every animal firstborn, every human firstborn, all died. That was their last night that they spent in Egypt. And the moment they leave, they were never going back again. Now think about what it represents in Christ. Christ, our Passover. For 2,000 years we celebrate it in the communion, which incidentally, towards the morning we will have another Passover celebration. The communion again, right? So prepare in the morning. That we celebrate the Lord's Supper, which represent the Passover, because it was done exactly on the same night too when Jesus started it. It was a Passover night. He was the Passover lamb. That's why he said, this is my body, which is broken for you. His body that was sacrificed. And he was the Lamb of God unknown to the people at that time, they didn't know that this that he has done seal his new name. Good morning, those who just woke up. Seal his new name. That was his Passover. That he became the Lamb of God. He took on the name of the Lamb of God. Now when we partake of the Passover, we have partaken in 2,000 years of church history. And in our own lifetime, at the time that you come to know the Lord and what your church celebrated, the communion, ordinance, or whatever it was, we had no idea that all the celebration was supposed to be the last time you would ever go back to the world. Like the Israelites. That you would never go back to the world. That you will enter into the journey to your new land of Canaan. But so many Christians in 2,000 years celebrate the Lord's Supper and go back to the world. Celebrate. They are like the Israelites who want to come out of Egypt and go back again. Because we haven't got the revelation. And nor have we grown. And I want to emphasize the word grown. Grow to the level where we understand we are ready to go into the land of Canaan and no turning back. From time to time there have been wonderful songs that have come and gone. It says, I have decided to follow Jesus. And I just found out recently that that song was composed by Sadhu Sundar Singh. I didn't know that. Somebody told me that. I thought it was like, unknown kind of thing. And the Sadhu Sundar Singh, one of my favorite authors, the one who's always wearing the one who talk about the spiritual world and all those things, says, I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. No turning back. But yet so many have turned back. In September last year, the sickle is put to the harvest. The church, it was time for the church to enter its last phase. 7 times 7 years. And that's it. Its last phase. We have entered the last phase. Because after September last year, the wheat and the tares are being separated. No more mixing. Christianity as you know it before is gone. You might not feel it yet, but you begin to feel it more and more. Haven't these past few years been like 10, 20 years? Things are accelerating. Many of us know, we accept this fact. Oh yeah, the tares and the wheat are being separated. But it hasn't dawned on you what it means in your daily life. While the wheat, which is the bride of Christ, is being separated from the tares, it means your life has to adjust. Those who don't adjust, the Lord says, He will take them home out of His mercy. Because if you don't separate, why is He separating the tares? We know He separates the wheat in order to gather us to be a bride of Christ. But you know why He's separating the tares? To burn them. Judgment time has come. You cannot say you're a true follower of Jesus and follow Mammon. That's the first sermon Jesus, among the first sermon recorded that Jesus preached. You either serve God or Mammon. You cannot serve both. I repeat, your Lord Jesus Christ, my Lord Jesus Christ says in the Sermon on the Mount, you cannot serve God and Mammon. 90% of Christianity is serving God and Mammon. You turn on the TV, hear the evangelists, hear what's going on Christian TV. I can tell you, at least a great majority of them are serving God and Mammon. In fact, Mammon has taken a greater place than God. It is more important to them to find ways to raise money than it is to preach the pure word of the Lord. Some of these things God will not allow anymore. They have got away for decades. No more, saith the Lord. Because they're being gathered to be burned. You might be even the closest friends with Christians who are worldly. And you thought, I can be like that, the same like we have been for the past 10 years. No more. This is the year that the Antichrist is born. No more. If your heart don't change, you will be dragged down. And out of mercy, before you reach a point where you lose your salvation, God lets you die, take you home. Because the separation has begun. And you might ask, how much tares are there in the church? Matthew 26 tells you 50%. Out of every 10, 5 are tares. Whoa. Matthew 26 says there were 10 virgins. They all fell asleep. Yes, even the wheat fell asleep. 50% of what you see in Christianity are tares. And stand with the angels here. Thus saith the Lord. He will separate them with a sword, and He will cut them down, that the people of God may know the light from the darkness, that they may follow the light and not the darkness. 50%. We need to change our thinking and mind to realize the times that we live in. One of the understandings the Lord spoke was that the 7 times glory that we talk about, remember the 7 times glory that came May 26, right? May 26 when we were in the United States. May 26, right? Your day. This year when we build the altar. When we built it, the 7 times glory came. That's Isaiah chapter 30 verse 26 is fulfilled. And although the glory of God had first came in Pergamos on February the 9th, 2012, God said, the 7 times glory should have come earlier. And then the Lord reminded me, He says, do you remember the prophecy that came in a dream? I said, yes. we were told to go to 5 countries. And then we were told to go to 7 countries. And in a dream, it revealed that we went and bought 5 trees. Then we were going up to get 7 trees. In between, somebody go and get a plastic tree. And that was false. And then the message in the dream was this: do not pay $5, pay 3. The dollars represent the number of years. The 7 times glory was supposed to have come in 2013. Right? If we would have done the 7 countries in 2013, wouldn't it? Was it 2013? Things have moved so fast. Yes, we finished everything in 2013, right? By December. So we would have finished it in 3 years. And the 7 times glory would have come. I said, wow, Lord, I didn't know all this, your timing. Are we delayed by 2 years? Lord says, the Lord didn't say that. But my mind interpret the Lord saying, no worries. Because whatever time we have, see, we are still in this first 7 years. By 2020 is the end of the first 7 years. So there are 7 times 7 years. We are within the first 7 years. And from now to 2020, wow, how much time do we have left? Including this year, 5 years. Not bad. The Lord has accelerated all things. So when the Lord began to speak to me about all these things that happened, we bring you to this understanding now. Why 7? Why 7 times 7? See, we know that the Pentecost, that they celebrate the Feast of Weeks, point to the real one. Just like they celebrate the Passover, it points to the real one. The celebration was so that it can be ingrained into the DNA, the prophecy of Christ, the Passover. The celebration of the Pentecost was to ingrain within them the real thing that's happening, the Holy Spirit coming down. The Holy Spirit really coming down. So in Acts chapter 2, the Holy Spirit came down. He was released. Everything in the Bible, the exactness of it, was a prophetic thing. Now, do you know that the number 7 is a prophecy? Oh, yeah. Where? Alright, let's start from the basic. What does the number 1 represent? God is one, yes? Unity, yeah. 1 represents unity. 2? Witnesses. 2 witnesses, yes, other things. 2 fellowship. You need 2 to fellowship. And 3 Trinity. Okay. So I'll get you to repeat after me. 1 union. 2 fellowship. 3 Trinity. 4 the world. Now, isn't 4 a strange number? 4 corners. You think about 4 corners. The world, earth. Now, I have a book that called, and you might find it online or you might buy it, called Bible Numerology. It's not something weird. They just study the numbers in the Bible and what each number means. But there is more revelation of the numbers that God has given. And there's 4, then there's 5 is a number of grace. Now, every time a number is divisible, it is actually an amplification of the previous one. 1 is a prime number, 3 is a prime number, it cannot be divided. 2 is a prime number, 4 is not. 4 is divisible by 2. Okay, 4 divided by 2 is 2. So 4 is not just the number of the world. 4 is a multiplication of 2 and an addition of 2. Now in the spirit, addition and multiplication is important. Multiplication talk about going upwards. It is what we always call accelerated growth and higher coefficient. Multiplication is like adding. Addition is like adding. Multiplication goes multiplies by itself. So it speaks about growth upwards. The number 4 is a strange number. It is both the result of the addition of 2 plus 2 and the multiplication of 2 times 2. Isn't that a strange number? There are very few numbers like that. 2 plus 2 and 2 times 2 still equals 4. Very few numbers can do that. Try it on the number 3, it doesn't work. 3 plus 3 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9. But this number has what I call a containment. When a number multiplies by itself and it adds to itself, the two are equal, it is a containment. That is the true meaning of 4. The true meaning of 4 is that something is contained within that thing. So the world was a small part of the meaning, because the world contained us, all of creation. So 4 is a number of containment. And there are a lot of things, I don't know which part to go through, but I'm flowing. I don't know how much knowledge to give up, whether your mind can absorb or you will fall asleep, gong out, whatever. So, but the number 4 is also the number of love. Say, huh? Thank you. I didn't hear a ha. You must have fallen asleep. What does the Bible say the fullness of love is in Ephesians chapter 3? The length, the breadth, the depth. Why is love mentioned got 4 corners? Containment. Containment. We don't have time to go into this tonight because it's not a sermon that you can preach on an all-night prayer that will end about 2 a.m. It's a sermon you preach maybe in a Bible school, maybe at a different time. But can I just give you a little bit thing here so that I stretch your mind a bit? Alright. You remember what's the church of Ephesus? Peace. Church of Smyrna? Shout it out. Love. Shout it louder. Love. Louder so the next one is awake. Thank you. Church of Pergamos? Glory. Church of Thyatira? Power. Church of Sardis? Church of Philadelphia? Church of Mercy? I thought I said Church of Mercy, you're giving me Laodicea. Right, just to make sure you're awake. Okay, so you notice they are in scales: peace, love, joy or glory, life, wisdom, power. No, power first. Right. Power, then life, wisdom, mercy. Alright. There are several ways of growth. We are moving to our main topic tonight. So I throw that as a sideline. There are various ways of growth. Whenever in the natural world anything grows, they have the Fibonacci numbers. However you pronounce his name. Feeble. Feeble, right? Okay, so it's Italian, right? Sounds Italian. Feeble sounds like some name I can give my dog. Okay. Fibonacci. Correct pronunciation now? Okay. Fibonacci numbers. Starts with 1 with God, okay? The number of peace is actually 2. Because you need peace to fellowship. Correct? 1 by itself doesn't need peace. When 2 or more comes, you need peace. The number of peace in the Bible number, not just number. You see, everything has a tone, a tune, a frequency. The frequency of peace is 2. The frequency of love. Wait, what did you hear? 4. 4. Okay. So, did I hear 4? 4. Oh, see, we got so many ways. 4. 4. 4. 4. Next. Any other number? See, that's how you got 4. 4 is actually the frequency of love. 4. Now, Fibonacci numbers adds the 1 before it. That's the last one before it, the last 2. So what's the third number that goes to joy and glory? Well, you don't know your mathematics. We got 5. No, 5 is not not Fibonacci. Add the 2 before it.
7.
Wait, jump to 7. 1 plus 1 equals 2 plus 3. Are you sure? Final answer? Okay. 3. Okay, right? Experts of Fibonacci number. Fine. Where's Mark there? We got it right? They got it right? Mark loves Fibonacci. Yeah. Okay. 3. 3. Wait, why are you so silent? You're not sure now. One, two, 3. Okay. Next one. 5. So 5 would be the next one, which is you have. No, you don't start with 1. It's you take 2 as the base. So it takes 1 step off the Fibonacci. So you don't start off because 1 belongs to God. So you sneak off, but you repeat the same cycle, slightly off track Fibonacci, with a layer of 1 behind. So it's like underneath is a layer, you build on it. So you start with 2, which is peace, and the next one is slightly different for Fibonacci. 4. So Fibonacci numbers, just now you went to 1, 2, 3, 5, 8 onwards, correct? These numbers are different. 4, you can find that every time peace comes, it involves 2 things. It has to be consistent with your Bible. Romans 16 verse 20, it says that the God of peace will crush Satan under your feet. And then you have Philippians chapter 4. The peace of God will garrison your heart, your mind. You will find the frequency of 2 inside peace. In love, you can find the frequency of 4. Then, since it's a slightly layered, different type of Fibonacci number, you have 2, 4, 6. 6 is a number of glory. You say, oh, that is the Antichrist number. No, Antichrist number is 666. 6 by itself is not Antichrist. It is the Star of David. 6, anything divisible. Remember I said anything that is not a prime number, you must look into the prime numbers inside. 6 is actually 3 plus 3. 2 trinities together. The Trinity of God with the Trinity of man. It produces glory. Take away one part, glory is gone. What happened when man lost a relationship with God? The glory is gone. Man falls short of the glory of God. We are a Trinity, spirit, soul, and body. We fall short. So the number 6 is gone. It's slightly different from the Fibonacci, but you find the equation inside. And that's the thing. If you add on, this is a whole sermon inside. That's not the sermon I'm preaching. I need to reach which one? Okay, I need to finish it. I started, begin, might as well finish. Quickly finish. Hey, don't worry, wait, I'll finish it. So, okay. So, 6, but it is also a multiplication of 2 times 3. And that in itself tells something. See, 6, remember I said, both the addition and the multiplication mean something, that number. You break it into the lowest primes. 3 plus 3, 2 times 3 is 6, correct? Now, 2 times 3 represent, again, the same thing. Fellowship with the Trinity. You get 6. It's glorious. Then, when you keep going up, we just do one more before I go to my main topic. And because you talk about numbers and counting, but then you get bigger and bigger, go so some you go. You might have 48 snots, right? According to the number that we keep going up. But let's just touch on the next one, power. If you continue in that way and you do the same system as Fibonacci, you would have 10. 10 is interesting. It's a number of Ayatira, number of power. Then we check back in the Bible. Does 10 signify a demonstration of power? 10 is a number of the law. When the law came, the power of God was demonstrated. When you lay hands, you have 5 plus 5. 10 is not just 10. 10 is actually double grace. 5 plus 5. 5 plus 5. Or 2 times 5. And so it's still linked to the fellowship. 5 is a number of grace. And so when grace multiplies, or grace added together, power can only be demonstrated when you have grace squared. What grace squared? When you have double grace. You need the grace of God in your life to cleanse you and prepare you, correct? None of us can become what God wants us to be without the grace of God. And you need God's grace. Even if you're perfected, God can still decide, I don't need to do that to you. I can use something else. So you need the grace from God's side to put something on you. Power. That is why there can be 100 people smarter than you, more equipped than you, better than you, in the grace in their life. But God don't use them. Because they got only grace. While you have grace, double grace. Because you have the grace that God says, I would like to use you. You need the grace to come up to God. You need the grace to say, the face of God shining on you. That is His special grace on your life. Didn't He tell the Israelites when they came out? You are the weakest, the smallest. All the nations around you are greater than you. And I'm doing it because I love you. So you have to love God. God loves you. And God showed His special love to you. 10 is actually double grace. And that is why when God gives the law, He's already hiding the message in 10. That you cannot achieve it without grace. And Paul discovered that actually no one can keep the law. The law in Romans 7, he says, was given to make sin look more horrible. Now, if Paul himself said, Paul says the law, he said, for what purpose was the law given? He says, the law was given to make sin look more sinful. Now, if you want to make sin look more sinful, what's that? So that you can cry for more grace, more help, correct? Paul defined that. And you can go up all the numbers, and I find the numbers very fascinating as you go bigger, because it takes more and more things. By the time you come to wisdom, you find that wisdom is a multiplication of 6 times 7. And what was wisdom when wisdom says that, wisdom in the book of Proverbs says, the earth, wisdom has built the 7 foundations. See, all these numbers are frequencies inside that. Now, how do we relate back to that? Now, let's take all this, put it aside in a box, and say, one day we teach more. Okay. Now, let's come back to the number 7. You know, the numbers are getting too big. By the time I get into cube root and whatever, you all fainted. You know. So, number 7. What does it mean? Completion, yes. Some more? Fullness, yes. Now 7 is a prime number. Cannot be divided by any number but by itself. In addition, you can. You know, it's 2 plus 2 plus 3. Which tells you something about what it is. See, the addition part and the multiplication part is a message inside. Every atom speaks about something about God. Fellowship squared plus Trinity. Something in 7. 8, of course, is the number of resurrection. But 7 is important for us tonight. Because why is everything 7 times 7? 7 here, 7 there. The only way to understand the full meaning of 7 is to look at when 7 first began. Where do I begin? Creation. 7 days. Yes, you got it. 7 days. Now, what does the 7 days represent? We know the book of Revelation is full of 7. We in the end time is full of 7. And you know when God spoke about the 7 times 7 in the book of in the Exodus about the feast, when you got multiplication of 7, He's telling you something. You know the most important 7s to God. What? Important 7 and important 7. Tonight is a funny sermon. But I'm the only one laughing at the moment. You got many 7s, but there's an important 7 and also important 7. Say, what? What kind of sermon is this? This is a sermon for online prayer. So you're so confused, you got to either wake up or you fall asleep because you're asleep anyway. So, 7 times 7. When God reveals a number, it points to something important. Do you know that from the time He revealed the 7, let's look at the Genesis first. 7 is actually the number of growth. See, we have been taught, now we have to go beyond even Bible numerology to look deeper. While the book, the Bible numerology, which you can buy from any bookstore or go online, and I have a book too, I've studied Bible numbers from long ago. Now I realize you must go deeper, because the book only study based on microscope. Say, wow, not enough. No, we got to use electron microscope. Which, as you all know, electron microscope can look at the molecules and look at the atoms. You have to look at the Bible with an electron microscope. Microscope today is not good enough. To look at how 7 originate and what is the prophetic meaning of 7. See, all the numbers got prophetic meaning. The first time 7 came about, 7 days was important. So important that God says, I proclaim the Sabbath day holy. Because God says, nothing else needs to be done. Nothing else needs to be added. Complete. And he even used a word which is not the best word to describe God. He says, God rested. If you get the wrong meaning, it's like God worked very hard. You know, he prepared the world. Let there be light. And then he prepared all this. Let the firmament be this and that. Let there be this. And let there be, and then let there be animal. Hey, did you finish the plant? And then let there be this. And then on the 7th day, God said, it looks like the meaning. But God doesn't need to rest. God never feels tired. God can give up energy endlessly. Because He creates energy. Energy is just a creation for Him. He's beyond creation. So when you say God rested, it means nothing can be added. It's so perfect, nothing can be added. You cannot make it any more prettier, beautiful, or more perfect. It's the perfection of perfection. This is before the fall, of course. So, it has its own cycle. So 7, I discover, is a completion. But then I began to study every 7 in the Bible. That's why I can talk about more important 7, also important 7. Do you know that in Leviticus chapter 14, when, see, I don't turn to the Bible because if I say turn to the Bible, between me preaching and turning to the Bible, you fall asleep. So I just quote you scriptures. Because your eyes could be so sleepy, you turn to the Bible, you go. So, Leviticus chapter 14 tells us that when a leper is to be cleansed, do you know how long the cleansing is? Take a guess. 7. The number 7 comes out. 7 days cleansing. Then when the priest dedicates himself, guess how long he has to consecrate himself? Wow, I cannot guess. 7. Everyone say 7. Say louder, 7. Now say 7 times 7.
7 times 7.
It's not 7 a.m. yet, so wake up. 7 is an important number, and I discover one more aspect that all the study on numbers never give you. You can read every book. You can check the internet also, study everything. They never tell you this. They only tell you 7 is completion. Completion of revelation. Which is what we also taught, which is still correct based on 7. But I discover, I ask this question. You see, when you ask the right questions, you get the right answer. When you don't ask, no answer comes. We always say, when you come to the point where you learn to ask a question, the right question, then it is time for you to know that part. When we never come to the age where we can ask, then it's not time for you to know. When you could formulate the question, the answer is ready for you. So I asked, why did they have to consecrate the altar 7 times? Why does a high priest, the day he wear his dress and all his things, not exactly his dress won't be a right word, right? He dressed himself with the priestly garment, including turban. He has to put everything on the first day. And for 7 days, he never sleep. He sleep. He never take it off again. For 7 days, he cannot take out his clothes. He must remain in his clothes. And not only that, cannot leave the temple. Must stay there. Be inside there. Of course, I know what some of you are thinking. Are there toilet facilities inside? No. So you say, because under supernatural anointing. Why do you think that during the time before the rapture, that just a few seconds before rapture or 1 minute, somebody need to go to the toilet? And then you miss the worship and don't get rapture. No, all these natural things get suspended. A supernatural thing comes there upon him. 7 days. Good thing he still got something to eat inside. Say what? Those chicken, Kentucky Fried Chicken, McDonald's, no, none. They were not around yet at the time. The bread that is there. The bread is there. And whatever drinks. But that's it. He must keep himself. The 7 days are special. I asked the Lord, why 7? And then the leper, why when he cleansed these 7 days? Do you know the leper need to do something then must observe after 7 days? Then the purification of the woman, 7 days. Different things, 7 days, 7. And the number 7 is just so many things. Why? Oh, why 7? And you're telling me that the number is just completion. Tell me, what completion did the priest do? For 7 days, he was just walking around, eating, then at night he fall asleep, in his clothes, wake up, he's gone. What completion? Tell me. Isn't the first day already complete? He all dressed up. What is there to complete? Why one more ribbon to tie? I mean, completion will be 1 day put on the inner garment, 2nd day put on this, 3rd day put on that, 4th day put on this, final day put on this and that, completion. But first day, all finished. What is he waiting for? His other remaining 6 days all waiting. Technically, it's all waiting. Correct? What's the leper doing when he is cleansed? Why wait for 7 days? He's also waiting. Why do you think 7 days got to him to dance around the temple? Every day dance 7 times. On the last day, 7 rounds. But this sounds like the Jericho wall. So what was happening when even the Jericho wall, they march around 6 times, and on the 7th day, they march even more times. What was all this for? So imagine, every day they march 1 round, correct? Okay, they march 1 round. I should take a longer march all around there, but the video cannot follow me. So 1 round. Then 2nd day, 1 round. 3rd day. Then all these people on the wall look down. Now how many times did they have to march on the 7th day? To make it 7 times 7, correct? Now, if you have to march around 7 times around the wall, wouldn't it be 7 times faster than the yesterday? Because yesterday you marched 1 time. So you march. Right? You march. And then you go and rest. But the 7th day must do 7 times. So, the people on the wall say, "Oh, the moon very fast today." Right? Suddenly they must say, don't forget, those people, there are hundreds of thousands of them, all the soldiers, they are marching very fast. Wow, today very fast. So they okay, today very fast. But they have to march very quietly, but very fast. So imagine, they have to march 7 times faster than they did the day before. The day before only need 1 time, so can slowly, nonya, nonya. 7 day cannot. Sunday you put on your Nike and whatever. This sermon is not sponsored by Nike, Adidas or whatever. And then you'll be almost moving very fast around. It's a multiplication of 7. Why 7? So your answer is still completion, fullness? Not good enough. It doesn't tell me. Yeah? Perfection? Perfection? So was the priest perfect on the first day? See, our answers are not answering the answer. Has to be an answer somewhere. Until the Lord showed me that 7 is actually growth. You cannot make it faster. And that becomes true. Then, when the Lord showed me, then that's how He showed me that the 7 spirits, remember the 7 churches? They represent growth. Now, when it comes to growth, remember how Fibonacci numbers are made. Although the Fibonacci numbers, it's not really numbers now. Fibonacci styles. There's a layer on it that's added. The way that the number before is added to the next number. Last 2 numbers add to the next number. Which means that if the number before you did not exist, you cannot go forward, correct? So the old Fibonacci numbers, 1, 2, smaller numbers easy to count, you won't fall asleep. 1, 2, thank you. Took a long time. It must have taken a long time to count to 3. 1, 2,
3, 4, 5.
Your maths are getting rusty. Okay, I just think that just because after midnight, but so that's correct. So you notice, you cannot actually move forward unless you complete. When something is like that, it's called growth. Fibonacci numbers are found in everything around you. Anything that grows, Fibonacci is inside. No, not Mr. Fibonacci, but Fibonacci numbers are inside, the frequency. From the seashell to the leaves growing, the shapes of all things happening, there is that number inside. It is just like a step. Without that step, let's say you cannot go 2 steps. You need 1 step. You will need that 1 step before you go to the next one. And the Lord told me, 7 is perfection, 7 is completion. But how was it completed? It was completed because it grew. So God, when He created man, He has to create everything first, then create man, so that when man comes, everything is ready. He didn't create man on the first day, because He wanted man to come as the highest of His creation on earth. And a representation of everything God created talks about Him. So it's all the different level of consciousness, from the plants to the animals, their souls, then man. So all these are different levels that God has created. When God says the answer is growth, I say, just like sometimes you see children growing, you don't know they're growing. But if you go away and come back, hey, they've grown quite a lot. Then, when the high priest was consecrating himself, something spiritual was growing. That he needed a time to crystallize and grow. when the leper was cleansed, something still to physically complete in the 7 days. Perhaps his immune system or whatever. Until it's established, he cannot, the antibodies or whatever, until he cannot go back to the sickness again. Takes the 7 days. And all these number 7 represent growth. And then the Lord said, this 7 times 7 of the end times. And you know why it takes 7 years? Because we need that time to grow. It cannot be hurried. The only thing accelerated was the 7 times glory should have come earlier, but finally came anyway. And we grow in acceleration to complete the first 7 years. But here's the interesting thing again. The first 7 years of anything, remember I said not all 7s are equal. And the last 7 are important. Remember Noah when he finished building the ark, or almost finished. He actually finished, he's just gathering of the animals. God says, in 7 days I will send the flood. Notice he looked the word 7 again. In 7, all the work is finished, all the animals come in. But the last 7 years, and true enough, in this revival, the last 7 years before the rapture, very important. Very, very important. Now, of course, you can say everything important, so you just add, if everything very important, then the last 7 years is very, very important. Just add one more very. And here's the thing, the first 7 years. The first 7. That is why when they dedicated the temple and all those things, and they had the altar, the first time they dedicated it to be 7 times. And here's the verse that we want to turn to. Oh, sorry, getting the Bible now. In Leviticus 14. Now, even though I didn't turn the Bible, I've been quoting the Bible all along. Leviticus 14 is the cleansing of the leper. Beside the 7 days that is mentioned there, it tells us a few interesting things. When I was studying and looking through the number 7s and all those things that are there. Let's start from verse 7. And verse 7, it says, he shall sprinkle it 7 times on him who is cleansed from the leprosy, pronouncing clean, and then he takes the bird. All birds, I've understood, represent aspects of the Holy Spirit. The eagle, an aspect of the Holy Spirit. Dove, the special aspect of the Holy Spirit that Jesus has, that will come into the bride, that we'll teach in this series. Here is just a bird, like a sparrow or small bird. In the Hebrew, it's a different word. One is killed, one is released. And then after that, not enough. Then look at verse 10. On the 8th day, he shall bring 2 lambs, and then he's told to go through all the various offerings. The priest brings all the offering. And then look at verse 27. Then the priest shall sprinkle with his right finger some of the oil that is in his left hand 7 times before the Lord. So the number 7 just keep coming up. And we, in these first 7 years, 7 days equals 7 years. Any day we're on a 7-day fast to the miracle service. So some of you will just say, you want to do the 3-day fast? No, you just missed the 7-day fast. Unless God multiply the day for you. Now you can still continue the 7-day fast. You can fast up to Thursday, Friday. So, 7 days is something changes in you. When the 7 days can affect the cleansing of the leper, 7 days affect the consecration, See, what happened to the priest when he's consecrated for 7 days? You can find that in Leviticus. I believe that physically something is changing too for him, because in the Old Testament everything is outward. That God will make him acceptable only after he finished the 7 days. Now, do you know the penalty for not completing? Because God doesn't chop his head, but penalty is there. You know who will kill him? God himself. When he steps out, he will die. This was a warning given to the priest. At other times, there are many times. Do you know between the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread? You know how long they had to eat the bread? 7 days of unleavened bread. Since 7 is now the number of growth and change into perfection. It's not just perfection or completion. 7 is a number of growth, change, transformation into perfection. When those things are changing, on the 5th day you have changed, not good enough. 6th day, not good enough. 7th day, then really you reach the next level where the next Fibonacci number can come to you. God has to behold it until it is fully grown. It's just like they tell you when you plant a fruit tree that let it grow to fullness before you can do something. Just like you can, even when you milk a cow, whatever, cows have to grow to a certain stage before they can become milk cows. There's a fullness. You cannot hasten. You cannot make it faster. There's an optimum time that they need in order to do that. So the number 7 is all over the place, and sometimes in one of the dedication offering, a lot of 7s that I want to leave now and go to something else, they even had to order 7 lambs. And remember when they took the clean animals into the ark, 7 of them. It is pointing to this end time of 7 times 7. So let me point to how important it is, the significant it is. Then afterward, I will give a word that Archangel Uriel gave that is important to the times that we live in. So let me get the chart for you out, the chart that I have, to show there are 2 times on the planet that are very similar. Noah's time and the end time. You know the Bible words. The end times will be like the days of Noah. We only think about it in a bad way, correct? Oh, Sodom and Gomorrah, all this, and the world is changing in front of you. The newspaper headlines over the past month are showing things are heading towards Noah's time. Sodom and Gomorrah. Never before in the world do you have legalized sin or legalized blasphemy or things that are what I call abomination to God. You have them now legalized. We are living in a different time. And when you have the number 1 country in the world legalize something that the Bible calls abomination, it's really taking one more step. Because the other step that they took was when they threw the Bible out, correct? When the Bible was no more the standard they accept, that thing go downhill. Now it's another negative Fibonacci. They've taken one more peg in when they legalize something the Bible calls abomination. It was existing, but it was not legalized. To take that step is another Fibonacci number. Another level. And remember, the next level of something is actually exponential growth. Okay, look at these black lines now. No wonder some of your eyes are turning black now. Okay. So, what is black lines? Okay, since you can only see the black lines, you cannot see the details. I'll tell you what they are. The lines represent the different men of God in the Bible. The first group. Like the first one is Adam, and then Seth, and all the others. So It goes down to Enoch here. Enoch lived 365 days. At 65, he gave birth to Methuselah. See this line? Methuselah starts when he was born. So this is like, at this age, this child is born. So this child is also living. Then at 70, when Cainan was 70 years old, Mahalalel was born. So the line drops down. Can you see? So it's like, each child is born. And then they live. Because after the child is born, they didn't die. They continue living. We some of us forgot. And if you look at the line, how long they keep living, you're surprised how long some of them live. So here is Enoch, who walked with God and was not. Looks short, but he's still alive. And he's coming back again. I think he is the longest living man. Because when he lands on earth after the rapture, and you count all the years when he's gone, it's thousands of years. If you count those years. But he's there. 65, Methuselah was born. Now what I'm interested in is in a flood. And here's Noah. Noah is here. And the thing here is Noah. And remember, in Noah's time, between here, people born, and although all the important people, Noah was another exponential change, correct? After Noah, the planet was different. I talk about the 4 things that changed in the planet. The rotation of the earth, the covering over the earth, the layer of water was gone. More UV light, all the radiation comes in. And then the diet also changed. And everything changed after Noah. So that was a big major change. In big major changes, you will find embedded in those people numbers, prophetic numbers. And so here's Noah. Let's see on this chart, because they're different charts. Okay, this arrow points to the flood. The flood is here. Okay, the flood. So here's the flood. And in here, pointing it to the flood here, do you notice the line where the flood is? The very year that Methuselah died was the flood. Not 1 year earlier, not 1 year later. So you know who Methuselah was? Methuselah was the calendar. In the year he died, the flood can come. Until he died, flood did not come. There are calendars. It's so exact you cannot miss it in the Bible. But when you draw the line, then you see it. You see that in the year. And then also, do you notice? All these people must die before the flood comes because they are good people. Then there is Lamech. Methuselah is here. Methuselah was Enoch's son. Methuselah was Noah's grandfather. So, starting with Enoch. Enoch gave birth to Methuselah, who lived under the flood. Methuselah, at the age of 187, gave birth to, not him, but his wife, gave birth to Lamech. And Lamech lived. Lamech gave birth to Noah. Lamech's wife gave birth to Noah when he's 182. After Lamech had Noah, Lamech lived 777. He was 777. The number of some of your car plates. 777. So when he died, the flood will come next year. Are these coincidences? They are not. They're not coincidence. Just look at someone next to you and say, this is not coincidence. If they are asleep, just shake them a little bit. Two persons died. One before the flood, one the year of the flood. Until the day he died, the flood cannot come. No coincidence. And you know that once the flood comes, during the time of the flood, 40 days was quantum time. We touch on that, quantum time. Something was special about that time. Now, I give you another chart. We go to the second chart. The reason why I gave a different chart is because some of the charts, they slightly differ a bit here and there because of the rounding off. Let's say, where's Enoch? Enoch is here. Enoch is here. And then of course here's Methuselah. And then you have Lamech. But one thing, even though the years might slightly differ, one thing all of them agree, this is the flood. This is the flood. They both died before the flood. No coincidence. And of all the years, Lamech lived exactly 777 years. I mean, 776 would have missed just 1 year. But 777. And remember, even in Noah's time, remember Noah's time? You know how old was he when the flood came? Now, let's see whether he gives the age of Noah. He should have given, but he didn't. Oh yeah, he adds here. Noah was exactly 600 years. Coincidence? No. Because God knows all those things, and God pushed all the predestination to all the molecules, atoms, world weather, everything fit exactly. Now we look at our time. Do you think it's a coincidence in our time that there are so many sevens? In the time that we live in, there is no coincidence. That is why way before the whole planet Earth and the prophets that prophesy know all those things, God already prophesied in the Bible about a time when He's going to shake the whole planet Earth. In the great tsunami earthquake we talk about. And we know the year, 2029. We also know the day. But I cannot tell you yet. It's fixed. And all those things that are coming forth, we are only just entering the first 7 years. Now, here is what we want to let you know. These first 7 years, the first 7 and the last 7, the first 7 is very important. It's like a dedication to God. In these first 7 years, we must grow. To grow like the high priest. When God shuts the high priest for 7 years, you know what the message was? It's exactly like He kept us away from the public eye, although we are in the public eye, but not in the public eye where the world knows about us yet. This message is going out because, as I mentioned, after and in the middle of the second 7 years, that's when this message goes up to the world en masse. So these first 7 years is like you're mastering holiness. You're mastering the walk with the Lord. You're mastering your hearing from the Lord. You're mastering your visions and revelations. You're mastering working with your angels. And some things might look boring when you day in, day out, waiting for those. What? You know, the world gives attention to headlines, correct? You know what are headlines? Headlines are only the tip of the iceberg of things that have been growing way before. And the world doesn't have enough space to publish everything that goes on every part of the planet Earth. So you only have headlines. When something hit the news. Unfortunately, most of the time it's negative news. But when you see a negative, when you see somebody kill somebody, that somebody has been plotting it for a long time already, underneath the iceberg. The iceberg underneath the water. You only see the top of the water. Good things or bad things. Jesus Christ was born on the first Christmas. The world didn't know he was born. Only shepherds knew he was born. Wise men knew, but it took them nearly about 1 to 2 years to reach Jesus. That's why Herod killed every child under 2. Because that was about the approximate age he gathered Jesus was. So by the time they reached Jesus, about a year had passed by. Nobody else knew he was born. But 30 years later, 30 years later, the whole world knew. By the time he showed himself, and even when within his 30 years when he showed himself, there was a time when he don't want to go to Jerusalem yet. Although he go every year for the feast, he put his ministry headquarters in the north in Galilee first. Then when his ministry ended, he purposely went to Jerusalem because he said the prophet must die in Jerusalem. That's why Enoch and Elijah also will die in Jerusalem. Even though Enoch and Elijah will be based in the portion that we call Madaba and Mugabe, they will purposely go to Jerusalem to die. Symbolic. Life is a symbol too, and a prophecy. So we have all these cycles that are going on. Now we are in the midst of the first cycle. And you know what's important in this first cycle? The 7 times glory that has arrived, that should have arrived earlier, but finally arrived. Now is July. That was 28th of May, June 28th. We are just barely reaching 2 months. And by the 7, now if 7 is a number of growth of all things on the planet Earth, when the 7 times glory comes, the first 7 days will be important. The first 7 weeks will be important. The first, is it 7 weeks? I let you continue to count what I preach, you let me know. 7 months are important. 7 years to the day is important. And you know 7 years to 2015? 22? It is important because between 2022 to 2026 will be our super church growth. By super, people coming by the millions. We're not talking about hundreds or thousands. Millions. That's where we reach millions. It has been prophesied. We told the prophecy from 2 years ago. Remember that? Super church growth. We got 2 periods, 2022 to 2026. Just before this, the release of the 2 fallen angels in 227. See the word 7 inside again. So there's a genesis of evil, the genesis of good. And I'm bringing this message home. Maybe finish counting. We are 8 weeks and 2 days. Not bad. Resurrection week. More understanding. Now this series we're teaching on the 7 times glory. And what we're bringing forth to you is, some of you have received something. The moment you receive something from the Lord, the first 7 days are important. First 7 weeks are important. The first 7 months are important. If you can have the patience to meditate on what you receive past the 7, you will find you have been given a key. Remember how the sower went out to sow? And how fast did Satan try to steal? It says immediately. Immediately. Then you got the second soil that where they also grow but no root. No root. Because they don't have the 7 times 7 whatever to grow. And then when they are among the thorns, they are growing, but they haven't gone to the completion of the 7 times 7, could be 7 months or whatever, which is a different test. And if they are past each one, if each time you pass, when you fall back, at least you're there. So this 7 times 7 glory that's supposed to come earlier, that's finally come. We're in the 8 week and 2 days when Yudma Kata Kakaatel and Kakaatel Ta'el releasing the 2 elders. It is important. And let me bring, and I will conclude with this prophecy that's very important and why it's important. Remember what the 7 times glory is for. It is so that your spirit, soul and body, your spirit originally was a holy of holies, your soul was a holy place, your body was the outer court. That changed. Your spirit is now going to have the new glory of Jerusalem. Your soul will have the Holy of Holies. Your body, the glorious church, becomes a holy place. And the outer court is the things around you. Another level of glory has come. And we need to flow with that glory that God has. One side question. When we know we have spirit, soul and body, when we were born again, we have a new spirit. Question. What happened to your old spirit? Much. Interesting word. Any other suggestion? Merge is the best word you got. Die.
Upgrade.
Did I hear the word? Oh, upgrade. Oh, that's a new word. Upgrade. Interesting word. Yes?
Integrate.
Integrate. Not bad. Resurrect. Good word. It's something close to that. What happens is, okay, let's say this is your old spirit. The new spirit comes in, enters into your spirit, spirit to spirit, and it bursts forth and it grows, quote unquote, is like eating up your old part. And it grows, and your old part suddenly just became like a skin, peel off, and you're all new. It just disappeared. Resurrect would be an interesting word. Your old spirit was resurrected. Okay? Like a butterfly. It contains the New Jerusalem glory. And you know that God has to wait until approximately the 3,000 years. Do you know why the millennium is there? Millennium, if you add all Adam's age, comes to roughly the 7,000 year. And we're at the end. Now remember, in Noah's time, things got worse and worse. Do you know we have entered a time of metamorphosis? This is not just an ordinary revival that is coming. You read about the first Great Awakening, second Great Awakening, although what will happen will be like the third Great Awakening, or like the Reformation, or like the revival in Indonesia, or revival in the Hebrides Island, or this revival. It is not. This is mankind entering into another level, like a Fibonacci number. Won't you think that when the church reached Ephesians 5, there's no blemish, no sin, no impurity. It reached a different level. But here I got another little question. When the church reached that level, is it equal to Adam before the fall? Or greater than Adam before the fall? Or just different but equal in a way? Eh? Different and greater. We are not going back to Adam before the fall. Something has been birthed, and I will call it the metamorphosis of mankind into something that God has originally wanted mankind to be. So this revival is not just, this 7 times 7 will be heralded in songs in heaven. Because when you look down from heaven and look at all of time on earth, you will realize that the most important time on earth was the first 7 years. And since, would you agree that Jesus is the greatest thing that's ever happened on earth? Yes. You agree? Everybody agree? Yes. Any dissenters here? Okay. So we agree, right? Now, wouldn't you agree that when the church becomes perfect exactly like Jesus, so that when Jesus looked at the church, it's like a mirror, that is the greatest thing also on earth? Do you think so? And we're talking about the glorious church. The glorious church. So the glorious church is going to become exactly like Jesus. A mirror image of Jesus. On the earth, the works that I do, he who believes in me will also do. Greater works than this shall he do, because I go to my Father and I send the Holy Spirit. So we know there is a growth process, correct? And the reason why I illustrated with Leviticus 14 is because we have different process of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit first came down on Pentecost. But the greatest finale of Pentecost of the church is this coming of the church that I say again. The only way our spirit can become the new glory of Jerusalem is for the church and the Holy Spirit to become so one, merged together. The only time the Holy Spirit has ever come as a dove is upon Jesus. When the church is perfected, this 7 times 7 is for this reason. There will be a time roughly towards the end of the last week before the end of the whole planet Earth, and it goes into the tribulation. during that time, the Holy Spirit will come fully as a dove. Like it landed on Jesus, it lands on the church. But between now and then, we are receiving 7 times 7 times 7 measure of the Holy Spirit until we grow. So how do we grow? How do you grow naturally? You receive nutrition. You breathe. You exercise. You function. Then you grow. You excrete waste. Then you take again. Correct? So how do we grow? More and more is added to us from the Spirit. More and more material is supplied into us. That's why Paul calls, pray for the supply of the Holy Spirit. He used that phrase when he wrote in the epistles. That the supply of the Spirit, there's a supply of the Holy Spirit. And what's about to happen is following the Fibonacci numbers and completion. That at each phase the Holy Spirit will come in a different measure. That is why this measure that we're receiving is already 7 times greater than before. And this 7 times glory is just the beginning part of this revival. It will take us time to absorb this. But once you absorb it, and this is the, remember that I talked about all the 12 glories. This is like on top, it's bringing us into another level. Because it's like they reached the 7. You have known all these 7. Peace, love, and glory, power, and life, and wisdom, and mercy. But then there is this glory of the 4 living creatures. Glory of the 24 elders. And then glory of the Father, the Lamb of God, and the Spirit, the dove. All these glories are new. And it's like another set has started happening. It's already happening. And as you absorb more and more of this glory, it will transform you. You might not notice it, but every all night brings you a bit higher. It is a growth. And somewhere along, and we all stop counting because we're not into that, we wouldn't say, you can say, oh, the 7 times 7 of this Friday night is happening, and it might be different from the 6 times 7 or whatever. No, we're talking. But somewhere along, in its fullness, something's happened. That is ripened. That is ripened. Come to the fullness of its gestation period. As we continue to absorb. And tonight, the realization of the growth that is happening is important. And we absorb it and take it. So as in Noah's time, something significant was happening. In our time, we are entering into the metamorphosis of mankind. Where for the first time, mankind will see fallen angels merge and working closely with human beings who are into wickedness and darkness and produce things that defy the law of physics. So will we who are in the light merge with angels and the Holy Spirit. And never before in the whole Bible, with the exception of Jesus, has anyone grow a new arm or new leg. Correct? With the exception of Jesus. You might pray for people who have done that. Even in the Bible days in the Gospel of John, when the blind man got healed, the blind man's father was questioned. The parents were questioned and says, since the beginning of time, have you heard any blind man being healed? But to them it was fantastic. It was healing. Someone born blind, see. The Pharisees never see it. Those miracles will be there, but they're going to be surpassed. So mankind has entered different age. We had the age of the age of industrial revolution, scientific revolution, and we name all the different revolution, the nuclear age, internet age, and all this one. This revolution that is coming, is a metamorphosis of mankind. When we enter into a time where looks like mankind enter a quote-unquote magical world, where the laws of physics are defied, where the enemy can change shape and form in front of you. Yes. They are like the magicians of Egypt who challenged Moses, where we ourselves are raised on a higher level. Some things that were permitted, that were not permitted, are permitted now, both good and evil. Some things that are not allowed are allowed now. It tells us we have entered a different age. And we leave it to history down the road to name it what kind of age it is. But now looking forward, we are coming to a time where you will once again, where you are one person who has not eaten for 40 days times 3, Moses. He survived without food and water. And you have Jesus, 40 days and 40 nights. And many other times that are unrecorded. You have Elijah, who went on one meal fed by the angel. He went on 40 days and 40 nights. In our time, it will not be just one man or one woman. It will be a whole group of people, because it is metamorphosis of mankind. And it won't be something very difficult. It will be something easy because you've grown into it. See, when you grow into something, you see, how many of you struggle to walk? Well, with the exception of unless you got problems with your legs or whatever. But when you were growing as a baby and to a toddler, you were struggling to walk, correct? None of you as an adult even think twice about walking. You just walked. Because you've grown to a part of you. When you grow into something, it is a part of you. It is a part. The church in 2,000 years have touched a little bit signs and wonders, a little bit miracle, a little bit here, a little bit there, but never consistent. Each time we did, we are like the book of Judges. It's like the book of Judges, and we are waiting for a proper organization. We are waiting for the kingdom. In the time of Judges, every time they have some leader, they go forward. Every time the leader died, they backslide again. 2,000 years, like the book of Judges. We are waiting for the restoration of the tabernacle of David, the kingdom, which is symbolizing the kingdom of God. And finally, everything is structured. Miracles are structured into your daily life. And not just once in a while. Signs and wonders are structured into your daily life. Victory over hunger, over sickness, over the elements of the earth. And that one is another topic, we will talk about it this coming Sunday. I don't know why it's all related, but it seems to relate. Now, we will grow to the power over the elements of the earth. You know what the elements of the earth are? It's found in the book of Colossians. That we are no more subject to the elements of the earth. In some translation, the principles, the elementary things of the earth. We are talking about the laws of physics, laws of gravity. Jesus was not subject to it. When he multiplied the bread, he broke the laws of physics. When he walked on water, he defied the law of gravity. Because Jesus was full grown. we have come to a time of the metamorphosis of what God has made mankind to be. Where it will be your very nature, I repeat, your very nature to go without food. And you won't even feel hunger. Wow. On that day we can proclaim 40-year fast also no problem. Not just 40-day fast. 40-month fast also no problem. Because you see, all the time we've been trying and doing and all that. But this time is a metamorphosis. It's a life. You don't struggle to walk. You don't struggle to see. You don't struggle to speak. You don't struggle to lift your hand. Assuming, of course, you're in perfect health. Because it's a part of you. It's a metamorphosis. Now, this is a message, and I will give maybe 2 more angels now. And when did this occur? June. This is in June. And I just want to check one date on my diary. On the day that I was in Australia, and the 24 elders came out and meet up with me. Friday, 17 July. Can you count how many days to the 7 times glory? So Friday, 17 July, had a meeting in the night. My body was asleep, but my spirit was awake. With the 24 elders, and many things happened. And it was like hearing another dimension of God. And in that meeting, we all spoke in tongues. And I understood. Right? 7 weeks and 1 day.
16th of July,
16th of July. It's exactly the 7 weeks. See, I told you. I didn't know that. I need you to calculate for me. Because when you receive all these downloads, you're not measuring anymore. You're not measuring. Now, please, don't anyone go and buy 4-digit, 3-digit, 4-digit. Please! Oh, repent, you lover of mammon. Anyway. But, I just mention? And it's happening in front of you right now. I just recorded my diary. I was not doing any counting. But exactly on the 7th week,
16th of June, 7th week.
it actually occurred on the 16th of July. Because I recorded it on the 17th of July after it happened. I got up in the morning and record what happened the whole night. Exactly 7 weeks. See? I had the 24 elders, a whole group of them met with me. A very interesting vision. Although there's no age in the spiritual realm, I could see in the spirit that some of them were actually more senior than others, for lack of a better word. That is why Ata'el is the most senior among them. Most senior among them. And his name actually means the first of one in the beginning. So, and they were there, and after the conversation, it was like we were talking about that dimension of God that was happening. We all were speaking in tongues, in heavenly language, and we understood. And all I remember from that, and I remember a lot of things that were imparting. They were like changing my DNA. And then, at the end of it, they gave me a blessing, but the blessing was very different. They each one by one came and touched my left ear. Now, remember that sometimes in vision, it could be reversed. It could have been the right ear, because I could be seeing myself. And if I see myself and they're touching, yeah. We will still, you see a little bit, but it's not just a mirror effect, it's something other effect, I call it. But when I got up from into my body, I just remember the ending part. Then the other part slowly came, and they were there. But it was like an encounter with them. Remember, I talked about we need to absorb fully all the glory in order to change our spirit man into New Jerusalem and our soul into Holy of Holies and our physical body into the outer court. And in June, after the trip to America, on 6th June was towards the ending of that trip. Yes, it would be. I remember we came back around 6th June or something. Well, just when the trip ended. And Adrian saw something and I saw some things. And he recorded some things and I saw different things. So both of us were confirming with each other in some of these visions. So I read some of these things and it says, Uriel, Archangel Uriel, there's a vision of Archangel Uriel, and he was on a mission, and his face was very serious. Archangel Uriel is the one who helped initiate the beginning of this move. He is now more or less assigned onto, he has been appearing to different people, but especially with Arion to ask Arion to do some things. It's been finalized. See, before the assignment, they were waiting for different people. Right now, there is a whole group of angels that have been released, and they're waiting for you all to finish your growth stage, your 7 times 7, 7 times 7. And then when some people don't finish the thing, you cannot be done. It's not in this part I printed, but in another part where after this trip that we made, where Arion went back, he found he could not fit in where he was in the church that he was helping, and then he had to make a decision. So we corresponded for some time and said flow with the Spirit, and then he makes the decision. After he made the decision, when he finally left, and he started the all-night prayer. And by the way, this is the second day of the fast. We have moved into Saturday, so this is actually the beginning of the third day of the fast. And we are fasting 7 days to the first miracle service here. 7 is a good number. And I think Louis and some of the sisters are staying all night in church. This coming Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, and spending all night. They might be resting a bit, but they're spending night in prayer. It's not like, you don't sleep for 3 days, right? Just teasing you. You might catch a bit of sleep here and there. But they intend to pray and prepare for the service, which is good. So those of you who want to join her, this place is open. And for you, since they are here, open for prayer. So you pray 3 days without sleep, won't count. And just don't use too much aircon. Just teasing. But so he's been seeing Archangel Uriel from time to time. Then when he finalized that was in some of the latest emails. He saw all the angels, and this time he saw Archangel Uriel stand in a particular place, and it's always there. Then he asked, "Is this happening?" And Archangel Uriel says, "Yes." Says, "Now that you have left your church and you're 100% in COG, I'm here permanently." Which means that he didn't make the decision, he will only be visiting. So I had an email from somebody in Africa, and he asked me, he says, such and such a person claimed that he has Archangel Uriel, Archangel Raphael, Archangel this, Archangel that, all with him. And he claimed number 1, number 2, number 3, plus he claimed this thing, claimed this signs and wonders, this. So he wrote to me, "Is this person real?" So the first thing I said, then he asked me a question, "Are these angels assigned to COG?" So I wrote back to him, "You'd be interested in this answer?" He says, "No, These archangels are assigned for the end time move. However, Johann Ministries and COG is the leader in this move. So you do your maths. So, of course they will work with different people. And there are angels that are assigned that cannot latch on. Now, not talking about just being in which church or where you are. The commitment of your heart also changes things. Sometimes you make a simple decision. Among you, so I can't use names. So, like when you make decisions like, okay, I'm going to be regular on Friday. The angel knows. I'm going to be regular in this. The angel all recording. And when you make your tiny little decision in this end time move, it goes a long way. Because it might make the difference between angels assigned, or they just visiting you. Because, as I said, this is a metamorphosis of mankind. The Bible, written Bible, is being fulfilled in front of you. Whether you believe it or not now, you will believe it at least by 2060. I am the voice that cried every night, and this is the only cry going out. There are people who have repeated the cry. Prayerfully, they don't change the message. They don't add to the message. They don't subtract the message. And they don't distract from the message. But anyone who opposes is now being struck down. Our angel Uriel has gone forth with a sword. It might not seem like it to some now, because we are still in the growth stage. But once we complete this first 7 years growth stage, it is a different ballgame. The other thing is this: God is not just preparing the revival on earth. You know what He's doing? He's preparing you for new heaven, new earth. The small decisions you make, like let's say in US, some of them decide, okay, I'm going to be faithful, I'm going to join this prayer meeting. Because all over the world, we are now going to launch prayer groups. Prayer groups in view of what is coming. Official COG prayer groups before the church is planted. And their decision to join the prayer groups will give angels permission to merge with them. So we're going to work with the angels to help people do that. But that's the next phase. Then we'll be launching prayer groups in every country possible. But those of you online are with us. So it might be prayer group of 2, doesn't matter, start. Because we're dealing with angels and the end times. So here's a vision that was on the 19th of June. And Archangel Uriel was on a mission, and his face is very serious. He was going to nations and striking down things. Nations. Now, from the time of the 7 times glory, he started going up with a sword. And he was in Europe. He's clearing and striking things in those nations in Europe. I see him in UK, Germany, France, Netherlands, Italy, Athens, Spain, and then Archangel Uriel says, there are many leaders in Europe who are going to die. Now that obviously tells you striking equals people dying. The Queen in England is going to die. This year there will be a change in the monarchy in Europe. The Queen of England, the Queen of Netherlands will pass away. Many other of the European monarchs will go home. Some to destruction, some to heaven. So some are born again. The leadership in politics will also change and many will be removed. The German Chancellor Merkel is to be removed and a man will step up. This man is key to building the European power structure that has not been able to rise until this time. The change in the monarchy of Europe will be the opening to the change in the political leadership of Europe to be able to merge the nations together to work as one. During this time, the military of Europe will begin to be able to come together. There will be a shift from individualistic nationality to a father state. It will be led by the new leader who rises up in Germany. This man will have a charismatic cloud that will surpass any leader before him. He will be able to move people not just from Germany, but from the nations of Europe and rally them to unification. This has not been allowed until this time. This man will be able to bring the main European superpowers together. Germany, France, UK, Netherlands, Spain, Italy, also Switzerland, which is the main banking power, will be brought in. Brussels will be brought in. All the rest of the nations of Europe will be drawn to this man who will rise up in Germany. The archangel and the spirit being of Europe will be established in Germany. And by the way, we're going to pray on that name tonight. And the name of the archangel over all of Europe is Asatamatael. Asatamatael. Now, pray for God to strengthen him as he deals with all these things in Europe. And the names of the other countries, we will have a prayer for Europe. We'll see how we go, because so many prayers. We'll fit one as soon as we can. As soon as we can. To have a prayer for Europe. I wanted to do it in September, but I might bring it forward of the urgency of the angel. Then in that prayer list, we will put all the names of the countries that we pray for, the angels. Under the European archangel is a spirit being. The spirit being is Ushrulakmael. Ushrulakmael. And since Germany is going to be the center of it, and the angels want to move this as fast as possible, also tonight, uphold and ask God to strengthen the archangel over Germany, which is Hofmathael. Hofmathae apostrophe el. And the spirit being over Germany, Tusry Mael. Tusrymel. We're going to pray and strengthen them tonight, especially. Then after that, we'll pray for all the other angels in the next, and pray for them and all the European side. At some point, we have a 3-day prayer coming up. And say, why not the week after the next? Say, this week I'm really fasting. Fast the next week, don't get to. It's a real stretch. Right? So this first miracle service we're concentrating on. But tonight, especially tonight, since the prophecy is delivered on this, we're going to uphold these archangels and their spirit beings. So this man will rise in Germany. I continue the conversation of Archangel Uriel. the archangel and the spirit being of Europe will be established in Germany. And Germany will be the power center of all of Europe. The UK and Germany will begin to build military and industrial ties that are stronger than any nation in Europe. Remember, all this is up to the tsunami. After that, things are different in Europe. And all of these nations will prosper with one another. These two nations, United Kingdom and Germany alliance, will grow and grow until it's stronger than the UK's alliance with America. As this happens, France will fall into line and will see the prosperity of this alliance which UK has with Germany and want to be part of it. So there will be these three nations. Germany leading, UK second, third France. Germany will be the key in creating an alliance with China. The trade door will open with China through the leader that rises like it has never been before, this German leader. The Germans will help the Chinese perfect their manufacturing processes and technology. The products that will be created from the interchange of Germany and China will be blessed and even compete with American quality. A new prosperous market will grow between Europe and China like it's never existed before. And Europe will grow with this relationship that is spearheaded through Germany with China. The men who will rise in Germany will also be used to turn the favorable attitude towards America into something contrary. The American West mindset or ideas will start to compete with the European Western mindset. Americans and Europeans will start to compete on every level. It will be like a sibling rivalry at first. Then it will grow into a bitter divide until finally Europe and America will become enemies and Europe will betray America. This man who rises in Germany will be at a genius level of business and industry. And he will also be unparalleled in being able to bring people together under an idea and a mindset. He will give the youth of Germany a new Führer belief in the greatness of the nation. The vacuum of defeat from World War II will be forgotten, and a new idea of greatness will arise. This leader will not do this through a German ideal. He will do this through a united Europe ideal. He will use the Americans as scapegoat of why Europe has been hindered from its greatness. He will preach that all American intervention in the world has caused wars that just create more problems and poverty. He will also preach how America has unfairly leveraged its banking system to keep the money of Europeans at an unfair disadvantage. And how the trading systems Americans have created have cheated Europeans and hindered growth, creativity and prosperity. He will bring up how the greatness of Europe has been divided because they have not worked together, because the Americans have pitted the nations against each other. This man who rises in Germany will create a successful campaign of saying a great America and prosperous America is prosperous because they have cheated the Europeans. They've hindered deals with China, South America and Asia in order to dominate Europe. The youth of the nations and the university leaders will come on board with this push of ideals, and over time, Europe will change against America. It will no longer be aligned with America. It will be like something like let us separate. Europe will finally be allowed to pull together unitedly, economically, financially, and militarily. An army of Europe will arise. And the nations in the Union will now become like states, like the United States and America. It will be like United States of Europe, but not in that degree, but the nations will become like that. There will be a loyalty to Europe that will arise above the loyalty of a nation. There will be a unity of what they call the brotherhood of Europeans. This unity has not been allowed to happen. Angels are stopping it. But has now been released. This unity is like the unity that happened to bring all the states of the United States together. This unity will rise in the new monarchs that will rise in place of the old ones who pass away. These new monarchs will start looking at their family relationships and history and realize that they are related one nation to another and they want to come together like a whole family. Then with this push from the monarch and from the political world, every nation in Europe will come in line, unifying Europe. It was not allowed before, but it has been released after the 7 times glory is released. At the same time of this unity, not all Europeans will align with this idea. There will be a faction against this unity. And every nation will have a small group within it. This is of the law, permitted by the law. The push for unity will also happen because the Lord wanted it to happen. And the push against it also because the Lord allowed. The Lord will allow the nation in Europe to be united, to be much greater than the faction against it. So the faction uniting will be greater than the faction against the uniting. But in a time of wars, which we talked about in previous prophecies within America, in the time of wars, America and Russia, this faction in each nation against unity, will keep the integrity of the nation states of Europe. Then Archangel Uriel showed the 10 tigers in Europe, the 10 leading nations. They will grow in this time of prosperity. See, I was trying to count who are the tigers and which nation are tigers. I realized that the whole Scandinavian region is like one tiger over there. I saw the tigers eating and growing big. As America grows strong to combat Russia, the Europeans will grow just as strong. As the unity happens and treaties and deals in Europe, they grow to be a power center to be reckoned with. I saw Europe create specialized military equipment and airplanes, missiles, battlefield tech that will create another military build-up as was seen before World War I and World War II. The only advantage America has over Europe is the secret weapon that we talked about in previous prophecy. Europe will grow to match and even in some cases surpass America in economics, military, entertainment, learning, science, or other areas. In other words, you're going to see the rise of a great Europe. You will see two power centers rise in the West. One is in America, one is in Europe. Remember, America has its last president, which in his first term will bring America to its greatest. To a very high spot, maybe popular like John F. Kennedy. So you see two great power centers. And then when the years of war happen, which is 2027 onwards, and the tsunami, they will suffer loss, destruction, and be subdued. And then the West will never rise in power again. It will be up to Russia and China after the tsunami. Archangel Uriel continue. Along with the major key leader in Germany, two more key leaders will rise. One in the United Kingdom, one in France. These two leaders will come together with the German leader and create a three-part alliance and friendship that will not be split. They will support each other, put the ideas of the group together, and of a united Europe above the nation states they belong to. So these three will lead Europe into unity. Not only will they be able to do this, but these three leaders will be very popular with the youth and with the movers and shakers of the nations. They will be able to bring down the walls of divide and language barriers. Speaking more than one language will be seen as superior, because in general, Americans only speak one language. These three leaders will be able to communicate in a way that brings camaraderie to their followers. I was shown many youths taking the culture of the nation, absorbing the cultures of others. As long as it was not American, it started becoming popular. American trends became less and less popular. European trends becoming more and more. The angelic angels, the archangels and the spirit beings of European nations have a flow of energy from the main archangel over Europe and the spirit being over Europe. I saw the European archangel and spirit being over Europe positioned over Germany to what seemed like Berlin. Saw the angels turn and face the archangel of Europe and the spirit being of Europe, who were headquarters in Germany, and they received energizing from them. I saw the flag of European Union rise further above all the other flags of the nations. However, even though this happened, I saw the UK and European flag fly about equal. Then there was a fallen angel. He came into Europe, and he resided close to the eastern side near Russia. He seemed to come from Russia. And then I saw a throne established in the eastern nations of Europe. It's like in a section of eastern states which also included the former Soviet bloc, Soviet Union states of USSR. This fallen angel set up a throne. And it was like he was allowed to be there, but not where the archangel over Europe and spirit being was, or not near where all the angels of nations where we are going and whose names have been revealed to us, but only in that corner in the eastern Europe. I saw a map of the west side of Europe that seemed to be covered with the glory of the Lord. And the east side near Russia was a dividing line of territory between the West Europe and Russia. The Eastern Bloc section looked grey on the map. This was the Eastern Bloc, which included the former USSR countries. This fallen angel took a throne there and started to send out demonic messengers to the western side of Europe and also to Russia. I saw these demon messengers go out to the political leaders and speak things in their ear, both in Western Europe and Russia. I saw the political leaders push towards the Eastern Bloc, and I saw Russia push to include the Eastern Bloc, and both sides were fighting for the bloc, and great anger came to both sides. The Russians were planning a meeting and getting angry at the moves of the west side of Europe. At the same time in Germany, great anger came against the Russians over the eastern side. War and destruction was in the air, almost like a rage from both sides was stirred up on both sides by the fallen angel. Then I saw the Russians calm their political people and make a call to China. The Russians and the Chinese were hashing a deal. This part already been mentioned in prophecy earlier. And they were making the deal. And then I saw the intervention of the Lord through an angel sent to the Russians. And it seems that this angel put a bit of wisdom on them and gave them the upper hand in the long run. See, the Lord was also helping, and that was part of the vision that was there. Now this part, we're coming closer to where we are. One of the visions after the 7 times glory came was our angel Uriel went to all the different parts of the world and he started striking things down. It was not clear what the things are, but it became clearer in this vision. And this part, Arian saw a cute bulldog with white and brown spots, with a red color, massive teeth. And I saw many of these bulldogs run throughout Europe from Russia and went all over the world. Then Arian saw himself walking in Europe. He had black pants, and as he walked, this bulldog seemed very happy, kind and nice, and came to bite his pants leg. That was his vision there. He tried to bite his leg, actually not his pants, and he missed, but he got the pants. As this happened, the dog turned evil. Remember, it was a cute bulldog with white, brown spots, red collar, massive teeth. This dog turned evil. At first it tried to warm up to me, Arian said. Then it quickly changed and it barked at him and it tried to bite him. As the dog bit the pants leg, Arian immediately saw Uriel came and strike the dog down. And then after that, Arian was taken with Uriel to the dogs in USA, and Archangel Uriel strike them down. Then to the South America, and then to Brazil, Argentina. At each place, Uriel strike many dogs down. Then he went to Canada and he saw the little bulldog turn into a big black wolf. And there were packs of wolves in Canada. Archangel Uriel went and struck them one by one down. It was a whole pack of them. The dogs changed from bulldogs to wolves in the rest of the places that we have not been to. See, it's important for us to pray over every country. Countries we've never been to, the dogs, not just dogs, dogs change to wolves. And Archangel Uriel went to strike them down. Then Archangel Uriel went to the places we went to. See, every place we went to. China, he struck them down. Africa, he struck them down. Singapore, Australia, New Zealand. He was striking down wolves, this time wolves. At first dogs, now wolves. And then Arion was taken back to Europe. And Uriel said to Arion, watch these words very carefully. When the bulldogs change to wolves, watch out for the snakes that come. Watch out for the snakes that come. With every pack of wolves, there will be a snake. The snakes are very powerful in darkness and must be dealt with, or more wolves will come. This understanding and interpretation has not been given to you, Aaron says, for you to know, but to Pastor Johann. He will get understanding on the bulldogs, the wolves, and the snakes. Then Uriel continued. Once the wolves come into the scene, you will find out where the snakes are. Not that you will not be shown the spirit, but the snakes will come and expose themselves. They will bring many to themselves, and more wolves will be created from the dogs. These are all visions. Europe is a power center for the snakes. And you will encounter the snakes there first. And they will come out. If these snakes are not dealt with at the appropriate time, they will produce more wolves that will go out to the world, especially Canada. Then from Canada to US, to Mexico, to North and South America. They will cause great destruction within the body of Christ if left alone. And then Aaron saw me also there writing everything down. Now, this is the part of the message that ties to what we have mentioned tonight. We have been given the authority to deal with snakes, wolves, and dogs. Jesus said in the Gospel of Luke chapter 10, you shall trample on scorpions and serpents, and they shall by no means hurt you. So obviously we have authority over them. The snakes represent principalities and powers, rulers of the darkness of this age. They want to establish places of darkness. But this is their strategy that the Lord revealed. First, He will use dogs. If the dogs are not killed and removed, they will turn into wolves. Once there is a gathering of wolves, a snake will come in. The dogs represent several things. They represent the tares. Remember I say the wheat has to separate from the tares? I'm not joking. They have to. If they are not separated and cut off in these last days, they will become more dangerous. They will become wolves. Dogs only behave religiously. Dogs are tares. Dogs are those in the Bible, looking from the Bible perspective, dogs are religious people who wanted to circumcise the Gentiles in order to make them Jews. Paul called them dogs. And Paul even said in Galatians, beware of dogs. People who are religious, people who are prejudiced, people who are so blind that they do not believe the Bible but believe their own doctrines. They have a form of religion but no power. But yet they will give their life to that doctrine that they believe to persuade others. The dogs were chased out of the church in Acts by Acts 15. Between Acts chapter 2 to Acts chapter 15, the church allowed the dogs to remain. The dogs tried to bark and bite when Peter went to the Gentiles. After such a great revival in Acts 10 in Cornelius' time, the moment he go back, there were dogs waiting for him, called the circumcision party. Now, some sheep will behave like dogs, especially if the sheep don't bark, but they bark. Huff! Then you know that they are dogs. They're behaving. Because if a sheep associates with dogs, they will become religious and bark like dogs. These are all spiritual things. It's important to separate that. From this day forward, as we preach this message and release it, our angel Uriel is given authority to strike down all the dogs. Even greater. He's already doing that by God. But with this release from the church premises, we allow our angel Uriel in the body of Christ to continue to strike down the dogs. They can be in the church, they can be in the world. They can be everywhere, religious people who belong to the enemy. Remember, they might have a smile on their face. They might behave very nicely, like they want to cuddle up to you. But they are dogs. In this time and age, one cannot compromise. They need to be struck down. And sometimes they don't know where they are, what they're hiding. Now, this is the first stage. It is possible that some dogs might be converted, become sheep. It is possible that some sheep will behave like dogs and then they cross the line, they really became dogs and wolves. Jesus said, do not cast pearls before swine. Peter says that don't be like the dogs that return to his own vomit. These are those who have wrong doctrines and lead people away from God into greater and greater sin, instead of the greater holiness. How will you differentiate the dogs from the sheep? Number one, holiness. The dog's direction is go to eat their own vomit. Their religion leads you to more sin and away from God. Another area, in terms of warning against dogs, you notice the same thing. They are all angry people. Remember, the anger was stirred up by the snakes and the fallen angel. Remember the weapon of the plastic tree. If a believer is in a rage and anger, they're behaving like dogs. A true believer will walk in love because Jesus says, this is my commandment, that you love one another. you will differentiate them by whether they walk in love or whether they walk in anger. So please, walk in love. And do not let anger come into your life. Irritation or any form. Because it may make you behave like a dog. And if that behavior finishes 7 times 7 to 7, whatever cycle, and it becomes a part of you, you might actually become a dog and become a wolf. And a snake creeps into your heart, blocks out the darkness, you might lose your salvation. Take some time. Wolves are those who scatter the sheep. A dog is convinced of themselves. They have absorbed doctrines of enemy and doctrine, all the wrong thing. But a wolf is directly influenced by demons. Paul said to the Ephesian church when he left in Acts 20, he says, after I go, the wolves will come. Jesus has classified false prophets as wolves in his Sermon on the Mount. He said, these are ravenous wolves. False prophets. People who come with a false word from the Lord are wolves. Sometimes a man or woman of God can give a false prophecy, and for a time they could be a sheep behaving like a wolf. Wolves always scatter sheep. Correct?
Yes.
September 23rd, September 2013, it was a wolf behavior from the pulpit. It scattered sheep. False prophecy too. And that's why some of you in the leadership know it was behaving like dog, turned into wolf-like. And if it had gone on, the snake would have come, enter the heart, block all the light, and lose salvation. Thank God, prayer, we don't want anyone to lose salvation. But I'm saying the road that people can take can lead them into losing the nature of sheep and actually crossing the line and opposing God and dying and losing their salvation. It is important for us to understand. Rage is behind the thing. Anger is the instrument of Satan and the plastic tree. Let not the sun go down in your anger. Give the devil no place. The verses follow one another in Ephesians. It's important to know what wolves are. False prophets, false prophecy. And people who are directly influenced by satanic power. They have become wolves. Dogs haven't yet. They might just be influenced by doctrines or other things. But a wolf is empowered and energized by snakes. That means that demons and fallen angels are at work. Snakes, there are no human snakes except those who are materialization of enemy. Although John the Baptist calls these Pharisees snakes and vipers and snakes, and Jesus does the same too. But snakes in this vision represent actual fallen angels or powers or princes of darkness. Now, they cannot go into any city, any country, or any church of the 10,000 churches or the more associate churches that will come to be a part of this move. But here's a warning. If you allow dogs to continue to run wild, and they start barking and becoming dangerous, and you don't remove them, they will become wolves. They removed the dogs in Acts 15. And Paul constantly fought again. Then the dogs became wolves because they began to oppose the Apostle Paul. They began to oppose the Apostle. That's when they became wolves. And that was a dangerous area. And once you allow them to become wolves, you know what the enemy wants. Enemy is also trying to conquer and create his kingdom, correct? When he got enough wolves, the enemy will come and establish a snake, which is a stronghold. And once they establish a stronghold, it's more difficult to remove. Of course, we still can remove, but the damage is done. I repeat. Archangel Uriel is not warning because we cannot remove the snakes. We can remove even Satan himself. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. That's the devil himself. But the damage is done. Say, what kind of damage? There will be people who become like wolves and their lives are shortened. For the sake of them not becoming wolves, God take them away. And those whose lives are not shortened, if they really become evil, they actually lose their salvation. Possible. Once they have tasted of the powers of the age to come, remember that? And remember the prophecy of the rebellion that's coming? Those who have tasted of the powers of the age to come, there is no turning back. You have the Bible prophecy, the Bible scripture on at which point a person can cross the line and lose their salvation. Hebrews chapter 6. So we have now the powers of the age coming. Hebrews 6 was especially written for the end time. When the powers of the age has come, we must now take the uncompromising position that we tell people, we understand from now until more signs and wonders come, and when this message become quote unquote more popular and more people turn into by thousands and millions, that people find it hard to accept because they might say that, oh, it's a fringe group, or it's a small little group that looks like a cow. Until it becomes bigger and bigger. Just like Pentecostal move was called a cult and a fringe move. Until today it just spreads into every strata of Christianity. So the same way, we understand that. And we always tell people, take the Gamaliel position if you cannot understand. If this is of God, don't oppose it, lest you be opposing God. If this is not of God, it will die by itself. But if this is of God, do not oppose God. But there will be those who are like dogs, those who are wolves, and of course Satan himself will be directly opposing from day one. Archangel Uriel will strike all this down. Not for our benefit, not for our ego, God help us, but for the sake of preserving the glorious church. Because when the dog barks, he might mislead sheep, chase sheep to a different direction. When a wolf comes, it will scatter sheep. Think about it. I think about the young ones whose destiny are lost in this move. And God recognized. Now that gone to heaven, you know God recognized. And there are a few times that Angel Uriel and who spoke to Arian and says, you know, that, and they make statements like, we have dealt with this before. And it's pointing back to how we dealt with things in September. It was people behaving like dogs, leaders behaving like dogs, becoming wolf-like. And that was when I took a stand. It was the right stand. Now, with hindsight, it is the right stand. And now God confirms from heaven it is right, because it says Pastor Johann has passed that test. It was a test of false prophecy. But very hard for people to tell. Very hard. There was no such, thus says the Lord, to suspend any apostle. It was unscriptural, unbiblical, and it was a word from a fallen angel. We know that now. Clear cut. But I only use that as an illustration to show. Because we have all experienced what dogs are, what wolves are, and the potential snakes. Some in vision has seen a snake that is involved. Arian has saw the snake. Sam has seen it. I have seen it. Snakes and the enemy involved. He saw the darkness involved. But many in the ship, and even leaders of ship, cannot see. All that kept you was the integrity of the word. You say, hey, this is not like the Bible. We didn't deal with the Bible. Secondly, the integrity of your own life. You say, even in the secular world, we don't do these things. It kept you. Everything was permitted by God for us to learn. Let's not sit on our laurels. Be encouraged by all means, but don't pat yourself on the back too much. Until your ego is so big, need to be fattened. It's important for us now to walk with caution. To know this is the plan of the enemy. That every place we go to, he tries to put dogs. He dare not, the snakes don't dare to come. And snakes are not allowed to come yet. Because they need energy to be fed to them first. They need the wolf. So the dogs will be there. And sometimes you're tested. And that is why I give this as the final part to know. Now you know why we are where we are today. What God is energizing to us, this message is not an optional message. It's not optional for us whether you want the glory of God in your life. Your only option is life or death. Choose life. Because if you don't have the glory of God come into you to preserve you, protect you, and keep you in the arms of His love and power, it's only darkness out there. Isaiah 60 tells us, arise and shine, for the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. But the next part says, great darkness has come. The line between darkness and light is so thin that, as I say, 1 John is also a prophetic book. Say you don't walk in love, you're walking in darkness. Automatic. There is no halfway. You're either walking in love, you're not walking in love. And I plead with you this, because all of you leaders who are rising, those of you online and those who are here, please have as much love as I have. I did not reach my position to be blessed by God, to be used by God, without growing in love. Don't think that the love that I have is only for me. That the patience that I have for people and leaders is just for me. You must have the same thing or you cannot survive. I'm here to teach you to love, teach you to be patient. It is not an option. It is Jesus' command. You might get irritated with one another. You might not like one another. But if they are disciples of Jesus and they're part of the leadership team that God has appointed, you have to commit to love them. If you love them, please speak no evil. Please do no evil. Please don't ostracize them when I have included them. And I only include those that God tell me to include. I am responsible if I include any dogs, not you. But But of course, we always consult. But you can be sure that we need to mold the church into this love. Once in a while, when you see a person raging with fury and anger, and there are different types of anger, explosive anger, seeming anger, irritating anger, I don't care, all kinds of things. Have I ever got irritated at anyone? Have I blown my top at anyone? If I have not, I might at times sound strong, but always in love. Please don't do that. Please don't open to the enemy, to anger, irritation, or other things. It is for you to grow in love, and I plead. If you do not grow in love, it's to your own disadvantage, your own shortening of your life, and your own fall. And Satan, demons are so clever. Remember, I just read the vision. Who was the one whispering in the ear to make people angry? Demons. If someone whisper in your ear or a thought came into your ear that makes you angry, it came from a demon. What is from the Spirit cannot come without love. Because God is love. God is kind. Now remember, you might think you're very clever at correcting, rebuking people, and your rebuke works. Show me how Jesus did it. The only time Jesus ever raised his sword to cut and rebuke was not against a disciple or believer. It might sometimes sound strong. It was against the Pharisees. Do not use your sword against one another. Do not use your authority against one another. Do not think above your position. If you want my job, take it. And I can guarantee you, if you don't have the same love and patience, you'll be cutting the body of Christ into 1,001 pieces. Think about what kind of leadership God needs to unite 6 billion people. You need love for 6 billion people. And among the 6 billion, there might be half of the 6 billion, 3 billion that you don't like. Do you want to be a leader or not? If you don't like 3 billion of them, you can only be a leader to 3 billion, not 6 billion. You are instantly demoted. You might have the love for 6 billion to lead 6 billion. If your love is only for 1 million, you can only be a leader to 1 million. You know how much love our Lord Jesus has? The whole world and all of humanity, beginning to end, plus more. That's why our Lord Jesus can be the Lord Jesus and lead the whole human race. Your authority is based on your love, not on the cleverness of your mind or your rebuke. Wisdom comes from the Lord, but love is a choice we must make. He might shed His love in our heart, but we must choose to love, to let the love flow. So I appeal to you leaders. This is the beginning of the move. He's still choosing the top 500. And you know the top 500, they can have different characters. They can have their personality. But they will learn. Do not please. Because sometimes some of the things I see in your mind happening, I see in your words, your thoughts, your behavior, I know that the enemy demon has whispered. Put a thought in your mind. And then when you say words, I hear the words, you see me silent, then you know you've just been speaking a word the demon has given to you. These are how the demons produce dogs, wolves, and then give room for snakes. In this move, every idle word will be judged severely. Already before this move, Matthew chapter 12 says, you will give account to every idle word that you have spoken. Matthew 12. And in this move, when the 7 times glory has come, we must always walk in love. As opposed to the enemy who stirs up anger. Think about it this way. Every time you meet someone after they fellowship with you, do they go away more angry or more loved? If each time they meet with you, they go away more irritated and anger, you are the one who just put it into them. As leaders, after they meet you, they must be refreshed, uplifted, encouraged. That's the kind of leaders that God wants. So I presented you the good news that we're in a metamorphosis. God understands we're not changing overnight. But I'm telling you, grow faster. Grow faster. See, what happens if people don't keep up with God's pace? By pace, I don't mean that, understanding everything at once. Not everybody is working and have the same amount of understanding and revelations. But we all have the same amount of love. Because you can love without understanding. You can love because Jesus loved. After all, you and I were saved by Jesus who gave his life for us. And you say we can love according to capacity we have been loved. Yes, because everyone has been loved abundantly by our Lord Jesus. Don't be like the other servant who treated others badly when he owed more debt to the master. You know what happened in the parable to the servant? Jesus forgave you. You must forgive others. If you choose not to forgive your brothers or your sisters and hold a grudge against them, you know the problem is you. You have been so hurt you cannot get healing. If you're still talking about it, you're not healed. I repeat, you're still talking about it, you're not healed. If you're healed, you'll be sharing it, how you overcome. We need to know. You are tested in ways you didn't realize you're tested. How much is your love? How much can you accept people? How much can you pray for people? How much can you grow in your love? Everyone wants to be close to Jesus, to be at his right hand, to be in authority like Jesus. But you don't have the same love, you cannot rise to that level. Because the specific gravity is a specific gravity of love. And I'm praying that everyone will grow in love. If you cannot love those around you when we are 60 people, 50 people, 100 people, how can you love 1,000? How can you love 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion, 6 billion? We must have that tolerance level. It's okay once in a while you stumble, you get upset, you get angry, but get over fast. In this first cycle of 7 years, a lot of room to grow. And we are still learning to walk. We are not necessarily, we are toddlers in this move. You might stumble and fall once in a while. Quickly get over it. Don't remain there. Rise up in love. Move on. Because the enemy, now we know his plan very openly. He's stirring dogs, trying to turn into wolves, then bring the snakes in. But we have the glory of New Jerusalem. But If God's presence in the present universe is love, how much greater love is there? Remember I said there are 3 levels of, there's another level of love in new glory, another level of the Son of God glory, another level of the Holy Spirit glory. That makes it 12. So you imagine how much more love we must grow in God. To grow in God. So tonight as we enter into prayer, we have about, by the way, 2 hours of prayer. 3 to 6. I especially pray for this to take place. Uphold all the angels' names that you know. Strengthen your angels by all means. And also the archangel over Europe and the spirit being over Europe. The archangel over Germany and the spirit being over Germany. And I try to put all this down. I'm trying to also finish the next chapter in the book, so we can put the names of the archangel over Brazil, Argentina, and also point towards European sector which we are going. But we are all clay vessels growing in God. No doubt, if we are where we are now, we will be exactly like Jesus. Since we are not, let's have patience with one another. In this move, continue to grow. And the only change you say, if somebody hurts you, irritates you, instead of just praying for them, say, Lord, change me so that I have more love for them. Don't ask God to change others without changing yourself. Until you're so much love that whatever people poke at you, do anything to you, all you feel is love. You become like Jesus. They slap him, they whip him. You think Jesus got a grudge against those who put the 39 stripes on him? Those who nail him, you look at the soldier with glaring eye. That wouldn't be Jesus on the cross, correct? You think Jesus would be glaring eye with anger, waiting to resurrect and kill you? Of course not. You can't think of that Jesus, correct? Every atom and molecule in him is perfect love. Look to Jesus. Be like him. And that's what the perfect church will be. We need to grow to that level. So let's all rise together and we sing a simple song and we go into prayer.